In the teachings of Buddha, the concept of happiness is deeply intertwined with the cultivation of inner peace and the eradication of harmful emotions such as jealousy. Jealousy, or envy, is seen as one of the three poisons, along with greed and delusion, that cloud the mind and lead to suffering. Buddha taught that true happiness is an internal state, independent of external conditions, and that it can only be achieved by purifying the mind from these negative emotions. This principle is not merely theoretical but can be observed in the practical lives of those who sincerely follow the Buddha's path. Consider the life of a monk in a Theravada monastery in Thailand. This monk owns nothing but his robe and an alms bowl. He lives a life of strict discipline, rising early for meditation, spending his days in study and contemplation, and relying on the generosity of laypeople for his sustenance. Despite what might seem like a life of austerity to an outsider, this monk exudes a serene and profound joy. This joy stems from his detachment from material possessions and his freedom from the competitive spirit that fuels jealousy. By focusing on his own spiritual development and practicing contentment, he has discovered a wellspring of happiness that is not dependent on external achievements or possessions. On the other hand, let's consider the life of a successful corporate executive in a bustling metropolis. This executive, despite her wealth and status, is often plagued by feelings of inadequacy and restlessness. She constantly compares herself to her peers, feeling jealous when they achieve milestones that she has not. This comparison leads to a cycle of fleeting satisfaction followed by deeper dissatisfaction. Her happiness is contingent on outperforming others, making it inherently unstable and elusive. According to Buddhist teachings, this conditional happiness is like a mirage, always out of reach and ultimately leading to suffering. The Buddhist teachings offer a different path. By turning inward and fostering an attitude of non-attachment and contentment, one can break free from the chains of jealousy and envy. This involves a profound shift in perspective, recognizing the impermanent and interconnected nature of all things. The Buddha taught that everything in life is transient and interdependent. By understanding that all things are subject to change and that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others, we can begin to dismantle the illusion of separateness that fuels jealousy. A real-life example of this can be seen in the story of a woman named Maya, who struggled for years with feelings of jealousy towards her more successful siblings. Maya felt overshadowed by their achievements, and this jealousy strained her relationships with them. After turning to Buddhist meditation and philosophy, she began to practice mindfulness and cultivate mudita, or sympathetic joy. This practice involves rejoicing in the happiness and success of others, which is the antidote to jealousy. Through regular meditation and reflection, Maya gradually shifted her perspective. She learned to appreciate her siblings' achievements without feeling diminished by them. Over time, her relationships with her siblings improved significantly, and she experienced a deeper sense of peace and happiness, grounded in her own sense of worth and the joy she felt for others. The practice of mindfulness, another cornerstone of Buddhism, plays a crucial role in mitigating jealousy. Mindfulness involves being fully present and aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment. By observing the arising of jealous thoughts, we can choose not to be carried away by them. This mindful awareness creates a space between stimulus and response, allowing us to respond with wisdom rather than react out of habit. For instance, when a friend buys a new house, instead of feeling a pang of jealousy, mindfulness allows us to notice that emotion, understand its root causes, and let it go, appreciating our friend's happiness instead. In addition to mudita and mindfulness, the cultivation of self-compassion is essential in overcoming jealousy. Often, jealousy stems from a lack of self-acceptance and self-worth. By practicing self-compassion, we learn to embrace our imperfections and acknowledge our own value, independent of external validations. This self-acceptance reduces the need to compare ourselves with others and diminishes the root of jealousy. For example, a student who constantly feels inferior to their academically superior peers can benefit immensely from self-compassion. By acknowledging their own efforts and valuing their unique strengths, they can reduce the grip of jealousy and focus on their personal growth. The emphasis on self-compassion can be seen in the story of Alex, a young artist who often felt envious of his more successful peers. Alex would frequently compare his work to others, feeling that he fell short and was not good enough. This jealousy not only hampered his creativity but also made him unhappy. Through the practice of self-compassion and mindfulness, Alex began to acknowledge his own efforts and appreciate his unique artistic voice. He learned to celebrate his peers' successes without feeling threatened by them. As he let go of jealousy, he found that his creativity flourished, and his sense of self-worth and happiness grew stronger. Buddhist teachings also remind us that happiness is not a zero-sum game. The success and happiness of others do not diminish our own potential for joy. In fact, by cultivating a heart free from jealousy, we create an environment where mutual support and shared happiness can flourish. This principle is evident in communities that practice Buddhist principles, where individuals support each other's spiritual and material well-being, leading to a collective increase in happiness and harmony. A beautiful example of this can be seen in the community of Plum Village, a mindfulness practice center founded by the Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. In Plum Village, practitioners live together in harmony, supporting each other's practice and well-being. The community practices mindful living, mutual support, and compassionate communication. In such an environment, jealousy is minimized, and the focus is on collective well-being. This supportive atmosphere allows individuals to thrive and experience genuine happiness, not from outshining others, but from being part of a loving and supportive community. The practice of dana, or generosity, is another way to cultivate happiness and reduce jealousy. By giving freely and selflessly, we develop a sense of abundance and interconnectedness. Generosity helps us to let go of the clinging and comparison that fuel jealousy. When we give to others, we experience the joy of contributing to their happiness and well-being, which in turn nourishes our own happiness. This practice can be as simple as offering a kind word, sharing our time, or giving material support to those in need. Through acts of generosity, we break down the barriers of jealousy and build bridges of compassion and joy. The transformative power of dana is evident in the story of Lynn, a successful entrepreneur who found herself constantly comparing her achievements to those of her peers. Feeling unhappy despite her success, Lynn began to practice generosity as taught in Buddhism. She started volunteering at a local shelter, offering her time and resources to help those in need. Through these acts of giving, Lynn experienced a profound shift in her perspective. She realized that her happiness was not dependent on being better than others but on contributing to the well-being of others. This realization brought her a deep sense of fulfillment and happiness that was not tied to external success or comparison. In essence, living without jealousy as taught by Buddha is about embracing an internal shift towards contentment, compassion, and mindfulness. It involves recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings and finding joy in the happiness of others, thereby fostering a sense of communal harmony and personal peace. By practicing these principles in everyday life, we can transform our inner landscape, leading to a profound and enduring happiness that is not swayed by the vicissitudes of external circumstances. The practice of loving kindness, or metta, is fundamental in overcoming jealousy and cultivating happiness. Loving kindness involves sending goodwill and positive intentions to ourselves and others. By regularly practicing metta meditation, we can cultivate a heart that is open, loving, and free from jealousy. This practice helps to dissolve feelings of envy and replace them with feelings of love and compassion. For example, when feeling jealous of a colleague's success, we can practice metta by silently wishing them continued success and happiness. This practice not only softens our heart but also opens us up to greater joy and connection with others. Real-life stories of transformation highlight the power of metta. Take the story of Rachel, a woman who struggled with jealousy towards her more accomplished friends. By practicing loving-kindness meditation daily, Rachel gradually shifted her mindset. She began to genuinely wish for the happiness and success of her friends. This practice transformed her feelings of jealousy into genuine joy for others. Over time, Rachel found that her relationships deepened, and she experienced a greater sense of peace and happiness. Ultimately, the teachings of Buddha guide us to look within ourselves for the sources of true happiness. By cultivating virtues like compassion, mindfulness, self-compassion, generosity, and loving kindness, we can free ourselves from the destructive power of jealousy. These practices lead to a stable and enduring happiness that is not dependent on external conditions but arises from a purified and loving heart. In living according to these principles, we not only find personal happiness but also contribute to a more harmonious and joyful world. In conclusion, the path to happiness without jealousy, as illuminated by Buddha's teachings, involves a profound internal transformation. It requires us to cultivate mindfulness, self-compassion, mudita, dana, and metta. By integrating these practices into our daily lives, we can transcend the limitations of jealousy and experience a deep and lasting happiness. This journey is beautifully illustrated in the lives of those who embrace these teachings, showing us that true happiness is not a distant goal but a present reality that can be realized through mindful and compassionate living.